time for a video. Alright, what's going on everybody? It's Harry here. Time for another talking video. Today, I want to go on a trip back down memory lane. Everybody's been talking recently about new year, new decade. I did a video last week on habits that you can do in the new year, but this time I want to take you back to not the beginning of the decade, but like halfway through the decade, back to my first ever gig. I know a lot of people who listen to my music, a lot of people who interact with me on social media, they're musicians or people who are thinking about starting in music. They always have questions: how'd you get started? How did you cope when you were a beginner, learning the ropes in music? What did you do? What's your origin story? Who am I behind the mask? So I wanted to share with you my story, and then maybe it'll inspire you. Maybe it'll make you see, oh, he's just a goofy, normal dude who was just starting out like me. So my first gig was at a place, very prestigious venue. I shouldn't say that. It's a really nice place, genuinely, it's a very nice place. It was at a place called Wynnum RSL, and it wasn't actually my gig, it was my dad's gig, because my dad's a professional musician as well. My mum's a professional musician as well, so it's kind of in the family. But you could totally do this as well. Basically what happened was I was learning a few songs. Before this, I had actually started busking at my local Woolworths, just in the car park, and I kind of got a bit more confident with that. So I thought, hey, maybe I could start doing gigs, you know, just jump in on some of my dad's gigs every now and then and just do a few songs into the microphone, use the equipment, get to know the equipment. That way there's like kind of no pressure on me. I'll just get up during his breaks. So you could definitely do this with your friends who are maybe a bit more established as a musician. If you're a bit shy and you're a bit worried about booking gigs, I definitely recommend going busking first, because if you screw up when you're busking, who cares? Everyone's getting a free show unless they want to tip you. So they have no right to complain. So you should just go and busk and have fun with it. And then once you get more confident, then start and going out and trying to get gigs. So I remember he was playing, and it was during the dinner time, which is like a busy period for restaurants and RSLs and things like that. So the room was fairly crowded for that kind of room. It was probably like 35 people in the room, which if you've never played a gig before is a lot of people. And I think it was like 3 or 4 songs. And I remember the only one I remember was a James Taylor song. Called Baby James, and my dad's a big James Taylor fan, and I remember my mum used to sing that song to me when I was a baby. So then dad's set finishes, he goes on break. Time for me to get up. And I hadn't actually decided at this point that music was something that I wanted to do as a career, but this was one of the first very formative experiences I had on stage, where I kind of got that rush and I was like, okay, yeah, I want to do this as a career. And then when I got a little bit further on from this and I started performing my own songs on stage, I forget about it. That is definitely what I wanted to do. So dad goes on to break, the room's still pretty full because everyone's still having dinner. I get up and I've got a music stand with chord charts on it, like a cheat sheet, so it's got the lyrics and it's got the chords above the lyrics. And I get up and I don't hide when I'm nervous very well. So my hands are kind of shaking, my face is kind of pale, but like red blushing as well. And I think people in the crowd could see it. And one thing that really stands out to me in my memory is there was this table, like a family eating dinner, just in front of me, sort of in the middle of the room, probably like 8 or 9 of them. And there was one particularly cute girl around my age who was she like turned around in a chair to look at me. And then I looked down just as I was starting my first song, and she gave me like this big, like encouraging, kind of like slightly flirty smile, but like you got this kind of a smile. And then her whole family was kind of smiling like that as well. So I took reassurance from that, I think, or maybe it made me 10 times more nervous, I don't remember. So I get into the first song and it goes pretty well. And what I remember, my overwhelming memory from this is just being really nervous and not really remembering what the crowd looked like while I was singing, because I was just staring at the chord chart the whole time and not taking my eyes off it, making sure to get every lyric right, making sure to get every chord change right. I knew them pretty well, to be honest, because I've been busking with some of these songs, but I was just so nervous to actually get up in front of a crowd with the equipment and do it. And so the first song happens and it goes pretty well, and so I get into the second song. I'm probably like a third of the way through the second song, and I kind of start getting a little bit more confident, so I think I'll look up and I'll just sort of look at the crowd. And that's a mistake if you're not used to using chord charts, because I look up at the crowd, I kind of get lost in everyone's faces. If you look in someone's eyes when you're performing, sometimes it can kind of make your mind go blank, especially when you're nervous, which happened to me recently at a Christmas show in front of 1,000 people, just for your information as well. We got the entire first verse of the song, so Don't be like me. So I look out and then I forget there's a chord change I'm not sure about, and it's come up in that Baby James song. That's what I was playing second. I look back down at the chord chart and no idea where I am on the page. So then I play like an F chord, which is not the right chord, and then I panic. I didn't know much about music theory either, so I couldn't like kind of guess what the chord might be according to the key and the function of the chord. No idea about any of that, so I'm just start guessing the chords I know, and for probably like 3 or 4 lines, play completely the wrong chords and forget some lyrics and kind of hum and make my way through, like make up words, and then the chorus kicks back in, and then I kind of know where I am again, and then it goes alright. And so my pride's a little dented at this point. I'm a bit embarrassed, but luckily the room was pretty friendly. So I get through that song with some mistakes, some pretty obvious mistakes, and go and end up doing the third song. And the third song, which I can't remember what it was, nothing went wrong, it went off without a hitch. I get off stage and everyone's very kind, and the cute girl and her family will give me like big claps and stuff, and big smiles. And my dad said I did a great job and stuff, and just the endorphin rush from having performed. Immediately after a performance, and I found this with when I used to play soccer as well, immediately after, there's this feeling of like, yeah, I did it. There's like this feel-good factor that goes with it. And then maybe like a couple of hours later, I'm thinking back about it, and that's when I'm like, oh, it was bad. And then I remember everything bad that happened. But immediately after, I always find there's like this high. So I was just pretty stoked. I didn't care about the mistakes or anything. I was just stoked that I got up on stage and did it. So I reckon I must have done another 5, maybe 10 more gigs kind of like this, where I just jumped up in my dad's gigs during the breaks and played like, you know, 3 songs, 5 songs, probably increasing the number of songs every time. And eventually I just felt comfortable enough that I could go through the booking agents that he knew, and then start booking gigs at venues, and they're pretty low pressure venues, partially because I didn't want high pressure gigs, and also partially because the bookers weren't sure about me and whether they wanted to give me gigs or not. So then I just kind of worked my way in through that way, and I don't actually remember what my first gig was that I did completely on my own, because I think I was just more comfortable with the idea then, and it wasn't like the same rush. So that's why I kind of consider this one to be my first gig. So that's the story of my first ever gig. Thank you for taking this trip down memory lane with me. Hopefully it tells you a little bit more about where I come from. Hopefully if you're a musician, it inspires you to get out there. It shows you that your first gig definitely doesn't have to be perfect. Like me starting on YouTube, it's just much, much better to start going out there and getting it done, and then improve over time and learn from different people, than it is to try and get everything perfect the first time. Thank you very, very much for watching. If you like the video, like and subscribe, and I'm going to put out more videos every week. I'm going to have another talking video next week. If you have a good idea for talking videos, or a good idea for a song you want me to cover, then comment down in the comment section and let me know what that is, and I'll see if I can do it. Thanks very much. Bye.